Well, hello and welcome to Bring It Home, where we take issues of Homeland Security and national security and bring them home to you. And with us today is Alyssa Stephens, who's the Operations Officer for the Integrative Center for Homeland Security. Alyssa, thanks for being with us. Tell me just one thing that you found especially interesting.
Well, this week I read the FEMA's disaster declaration process. This was a report published by the Congressional Research Service.
For anybody who's been asleep for the last 10 years, what is FEMA?
FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency.
And they're responsible for?
They're responsible for assessing and providing disaster relief.
And so this disaster declaration process is how they actually kick into service. Now, this is not things that happen before disasters. They do some mitigation and planning and so forth. But once a disaster kicks in, tell us what happens. How do we get to use FEMA funding and resources?
Okay. Well, under the Robert Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act, there are two forms of presidential action. There's either an emergency declaration or a major disaster declaration. An emergency declaration is when a threat is recognized, such as with Hurricane Katrina. Before it actually hit, we realized this was going to be a huge disaster, and so they planned and appropriated funds to take care of this. In the case of a major disaster declaration, this is as a result of a disaster, and the federal aid is much broader.
So, for example, like a tornado or after something strikes.
Correct.
Now, the idea here is one that many people don't recognize. FEMA isn't really there to make everyone whole. It's not like a big insurance agency, is it?
No, it's definitely not. FEMA is actually a relatively small organization of about 3,000 members, many of which are part-time.
Yeah, they bring part-time on after the storm and they do the analysis, but the federal funding that kicks in isn't necessarily to pay for everything.
No, that's correct. FEMA does not have such funds to do so. A lot of times, state and local is supposed to take care of what they can, and FEMA comes in to help with the rest.
If there's insurance, people are to use their insurance first. And
That's
so there's
correct.
a misconception, I think, about what FEMA is allowed, what they're not allowed to do.
Right. FEMA is definitely not insurance.
Well, in order to get a better handle on what they are allowed to do and what that process is so people understand better, I think this is a great report, FEMA's disaster declaration process. Where would people find this? How would they learn more about it?
People can learn about this report at crs.gov. They
That's
can
the
also,
Congressional Research Service,
Yes.
crs.gov.
They can also visit our website for more on this publication.
Okay, and we have a number of other things on our site. This is, we call it TEX. We've got about 6,000 documents, and explain very quickly what it does.
TEX essentially has basically everything from critical infrastructure documents, government, emergency preparedness, health, public safety.
And you can get a one-page summary of each one of those documents.
Yes.
Well, I hope people will use that, and hope people will come back and join us for more here on Bring It Home, where we take issues of national security and homeland security and bring them home to you.